it's TxStampin Sharon. We're going to do a new technique today, a new card technique that I've never done before. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I invite you to subscribe below and then hit that notification bell. That way you'll be notified every time I upload a video or I go live on YouTube. If you currently do not have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, need to contact me, want to sign up for my newsletter, you can do all that below the video. Just click the links in the description box. Just click the read more button. Let's make some cards today. Today we're going to make two cards that are triangle fronts. I've been afraid to do this and I don't know why, because it's so easy. I can't wait to teach you. We're using my favorite, the Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set. First, we're going to do some stamping, and I'm using Seaside Spray, Crumb Cake, So Saffron, and Flirty Flamingo. Those are all the colors that are in the Designer Series paper that I'm using today. To recreate the cards that I made, I'm going to use the Flirty Flamingo, and I'm going to ink up our big shell. And stamp it right there. Then I'm going to use Crumb Cake, and I'm going to stamp two of these size shells. And then I'm going to use Seaside Spray for my big shell. I always like to hold that stamp there for a few seconds to really let the ink get into the cardstock as best it can. Next, I'm going to use this shell right here, and So Saffron, and I'm going to stamp two of those. And then I have two different cards, so I want two different sentiments, and I'm just going to stamp right here. And right here. Now, when you're stamping at home, you may want to stamp closer and everything, but I just wanted you to see, I like to do my stamping first and then cut everything out the way I need it. I'm going to use my snips to cut out my seashells, and then I'm using the Layering Ovals dies to cut out my sentiments. So now I have everything cut out. I cut out my sentiments with the Layering Ovals, and then I used scraps of the Flirty Flamingo to finish that out. And then I cut out everything with my snips. Took a while, so you didn't need to watch me do all that on camera. We're gonna set this all aside, and we're going to make our triangle front cards. Now, the seashells papers are just like any other Designer Series paper. They have two sides. I chose to pick these two to make my cards instead of just flipping over and using this side. So keep that in mind. You might be able to just make one cut and then flip over your Designer Series paper and just use the piece that's left over from the back side. So here's my paper that I've cut, and I have cut both of these at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I have one piece of Flirty Flamingo that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I have two card bases because remember, we're making two cards. So we're going to pull in our paper trimmer, and I'm going to take my Designer Series paper, and I technically will have enough to make 4 cards when I'm done because how I'm using my Designer Series paper. But I'm going to show you, if you choose to just use one piece of the Designer Series paper, you can still make 2 cards, but I have other examples to show you, so we won't get ahead of ourselves. So I have the corner in the gutter of the trimmer, and then I have the other corner in the gutter down here. And then I'm just gonna cut like that. And here's the key. I'm gonna hold these two pieces together, and I'm gonna do the same thing, lining up those tips, those corners in the gutter line, and then cutting. So then this is what I end up with, okay? Now I'm gonna do it again with my other piece of Designer Series paper. corner in the gutter. Hold on to it, turn it. If you try to cut these separately without both of them together, you're gonna have a problem, which is what I did the first time. You know me, guys. If I make a mistake, I always try to share that with you so that you don't make the same thing. So here we have our 4 pieces. I'm gonna take my Flirty Flamingo and I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. Corner to corner, we're gonna cut. Hold our paper, turn it, corner to corner, and cut. There we go. Now I have all my papers cut, and here's where you get to decide, what do you want to go where? That looks good. So now I have these 4 pieces left over, so I'm going to cut another piece of the Flirty Flamingo, or do I want to choose another color? This is what you can do at this point. But for now, let's go ahead and we're going to add some adhesive, and I prefer using the liquid adhesive for this because I have a very skinny border around my pieces, and I want to make sure I have some wiggle room. So we're going to just take some adhesive, getting to our corners, and then we're going to line this up. See how very thin, what is that, 1/8 of an inch? Make sure you get those corners. And notice how much glue I have. You don't want a whole lot of glue or it's just going to squish out. So just barely squeeze as you're adding the liquid glue. There we go. We're going to take our second piece and corner to corner, we're going to cut. We're going to turn it. Add our pieces. So I do have a little bit of tackiness. If that happens, grab your hand sanitizer that I keep on my desk. It takes that tackiness out of the glue, and I can keep on working on the video for you guys. So we have our card bases that we're bringing in, and both of these are the basic white thick, and they are 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. They're exactly the same. And now we're gonna put our pieces together, and again, I wanna use my liquid glue. Let me show you my trick for this. You know me, I always have tricks. So I add my adhesive to all the pieces, so I have some wiggle room again. Remember that wiggle room? We need to be able to line these up, and I'm working fairly quickly, but yeah, it's not impossible. You guys can do it. So we're gonna add our pieces. I'm not pressing down, I'm just putting them on. Once I make sure that they are where I want them, whoops, then I can press them in closer, like that. See, get them in nice and tight. There we go. All right, let's do it again. Adding our glue. Just press it, just lay it, don't press it. So we can get these points together. Pressing it in, pressing it down. Perfect. There you go. Now, technically both these cards could go that way, but what's the fun in that? Let's decorate them this way. So we're gonna decorate this one first, and since we have our liquid adhesive out, we'll just go ahead and add some of that. Because again, this is just a very delicate little scalloped edge. We want to get it just right. And I'm going to just add this straight to my card. You can decorate the front however you want. And then we're going to add some dimensionals to the backs. And you know, you kind of place it to see where you want it. I'm not going to add a dimensional where it's going to cover my layer. I'm going to add it at the top and the bottom. Whoops. I like to dig my fingernails in too when I don't have my Take Your Pick tool close. Just kind of place it where you want. Yeah, like that. And then we're just going to use one at the bottom. And we're going to place that one right there. Okay, found my Take Your Pick tool. We're going to use the opal rounds, and I'm going to take one and I'm going to put it right at the bottom of our clam. Super cute, right? All right, let's finish the other one. So we're going to do the same thing with our layers, our sentiment layer. I realized that I haven't used my layering ovals in a while, so it was kind of fun to play with those again. You know, having different dies like this really helps with your different sentiments and your stamp sets. Now this one I added up a little bit higher. And then we're going to take and add some dimensionals. And let's see. Do I want it this way? Do I want it this way? You know, when you look at the paper, the seashells are going all different places. I think we're going to try this one this way. Let's just play with it. And then on this one, how do I want my shell? Oh, I kind of like that down there. You know, all my cards end up looking different because as I'm creating, I go, oh, well, I kind of like it better that way. Now I have put a dimensional on one side and I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue there just to secure it. And somebody's going to tell me that I have my shell upside down, but you know what? Like I said, these shells all go different ways. So we're just going to do this. And then we're going to add one more dimensional to the bottom. And we're going to put it like this. Again, another opal round. Super easy, super cute. So here are all the cards that I have. Now, I told you I had another idea for you. Let me get those for you because it's just a little bit different. What if you don't have that designer series paper? There we go. I got you covered. How about you stamp your own using the stamps? Okay, I just used the stamps, stamped my Whisper White, I stamped my basic white paper the same, but I cut it and I made 2 cards. I did use a layer of So Saffron and the Seashell 3D embossing folder. But now look at all these great beach cards I have. Maybe I should hang them in my studio. You guys have seen what's behind me when I do my intro. I love the beach. I just hope that y'all enjoy this. I hope you were inspired. Happy stamping, y'all.